And it stayed like this for a long time. Freezing weather for a long time. And during this freezing weather, after so long, people found it hard to get food, to find something to eat. And so people were beginning to starve. There's no food around when it was so cold for so long. And two hunters decided that they were going to go out and try to find food. They decided this amongst themselves, and then they talked to some of the old people in the village and the community. And they told them what their plans were, and the old people said, no, don't do that. It's dangerous out there. Be careful. And the hunters did not listen. They just went out anyway. And they went out into the freezing cold. They went out into the frozen winter. And they went on for days. And finally they decided, after finding no food, they decided to camp. And they made a big fire where they were going to camp. And they got ready to go to sleep. And the two hunters set out their sleeping places. One hunter set his place out, the other set his place out. The first hunter, before he went to sleep, he hung his jacket and his boots on a stick. The other hunter just went to sleep in his blankets and sleeping clothes. And during the night there was a great whistling that came from a nearby tree. It came down from a nearby tree. And there was a man that came down from the tree. He was all skin and bones. And he went over to where the hunters were. He went around the fire. He looked at the hunters. He looked at both of them. He looked at the first one. He saw the jacket on the stick and the shoes on the stick. He looked at the second one. He reached up inside the second one's blanket. He reached inside of him and he took his orders. And he took off into the night. The hunters woke up the next day. The first hunter woke up, the one with the jacket on the stick, and he looked and he saw that the one next to him, there was something wrong with him. And he knew that he was still alive, but his organs were gone. And he decided that he would take them back to the village to ask the people what to do with this man who had no organs. And he took him back to the village on a sled and brought him back to the village. And the people met there when he got back. And they had a council. And the old people said, we're going to have to go back and get this guy's organs back. We're going to have to find the one who took his organs. And so the old people led him out, and they made a camp in the same place. They made a teepee there. They made a lodge. And the old guy said, build another fire. The oldest one there who knew what to do. Build another fire. That guy's going to come back. And when he comes back, I'm going to throw a ball of grease in the fire. When he flies over that ball of grease, he'll fall down and we'll capture him. And sure enough, during the night, the skin and bones man came flying out again, looking for the people. The old guy threw the ball of grease in the fire. The smoke from the grease rolled up in the fire, hit the flying man. He fell to the earth. The people grabbed him. And they said, give this man's organs back. Give his organs back. First he refused and he was reluctant. Then the old man threatened him. He said, if you don't give the organs back, I'm going to rub you down with grease. When the old man said this, the skin and bones man gave the organs back to the other man. Now, it seems like a strange story, but there's a ceremony that's connected to this. It's called the Trader Dance, and it's held in the wintertime. And a long time ago, they had these Trader Dances, even on into the early 20th century. And people would come to the Trader Dance, and they'd bring things to trade. If you came to the dance, you might bring a rifle, and you could trade with somebody else there who might have a horse or something. They would trade with you. And before they started the dance, they would set up in the back of the room or barn where it was held. They would set up a stick figure of a man with a jacket and some boots back there. And then anybody who came would have to trade. If somebody asked you to trade, you have to trade. And they always started it the same way, the Trader Dance. They'd smoke a pipe, and they'd pass around a ball of grease, and each person would take a bite of the ball of grease. Now, this is the story as it was told to me by Francis Creed. And it's telling us a little bit about being aware, beware, winter.